about the consultation so they could endorse it, right? It was nearly slipped under the radar, except for the Trojan efforts made by grassroots groups such as parents, teachers, and healthcare workers. The wider public, in their heart of hearts, completely disagree with what's happening in libraries and schools. Even people initially in favor of the policy turn against it when they see the evidence for themselves. My question is, why are the parents and teachers being excluded and silenced with these proposed curriculum changes? Why are these being done by the Department of Education in the dark of night? Social forces manipulated by a tiny but powerful ideological minority are preventing wider society from articulating our views. The NCCA refused to give a breakdown of the 4,353 submissions received by parents. They refused to name the 9 HSE experts referenced in the report who were consulted in writing on the new sex ed program. Gripped Media sent over a dozen emails and phone calls. This information was refused. The Social, Personal, and Health Education SPHE short course has 37 learning outcomes. You'll be pleased to know I won't be going through all 37 today. It is structured around 4 strands for first, second, and third year students, which is age 12 to 15. It combines the relationship and sexuality education, the RSE, along with various health topics, all under the umbrella of SPHE. Now I'm going to talk about strand 1, which is understanding myself and others. This strand 1, focuses on the developing self-awareness and esteem and the physical and emotional changes that happen.
You guys have a terrible track record with poorly reporting to the Irish people. The vaccines are safe and effective, they're not safe and effective.
Students will learn about gender identity, which the curriculum defines as. The Department of Education defines
you are doing
gender
an awful job reporting of
a
RTE to the Irish people.
person's internal and individual experience of gender. Gender is what they subjectively feel and is distinct from their biological sex, which is their sex assigned to them at birth.
What are you doing here, Una?
Teaching a boy that he can become a girl and a girl that she
Well, you
can
can
become
listen back
a
to that
boy.
because you did me a disservice the last time. I have that video, I'm going to put it out. You were asking me questions, you were trying to spin, you're a total spin merchant.
I will not
One question
talk about
you want me to
learning
answer.
1.4,
This is what RT report.
which
This is your
states that
caliber of
students
reporting.
should be able
You're an
to,
absolute
quote,
disgrace.
recognize
I'd like to ask
the
you about the
factors
vaccine
and
and the vaccine
influences
injured.
that
Any words
shape
for that?
young people's self-identity, such as family,
You seem to be
peers,
very counter-style all of a
culture,
sudden. Why is this?
gender identity, sexual
you on Prozac? You
orientation,
look like
race,
you're kind
ethnic
of like zoned out
background,
or something.
disabilities, religious beliefs, and worldviews. But we know which
Okay,
one's
Una, thanks for your time.
hitting the public. We know which one is being pushed in
darling.
kids' faces. It's not about respecting people with disabilities. It's gender identity. This is a huge flawed learning outcome. Gender identity is an ideology, not a biological fact. There are 2 sexes. Anyone know what they are? Male and female. Well done. You get an A in this course. Yet the draft curriculum at 1.4 wants to teach gender identity, which deliberately misleads and confuses young children. This learning outcome should not be included in the specification. The new sex education curriculum is also promoting a model of gender affirmation.
It's the sound and all that.
How do I know this? We have seen the RSE resources that the NCCA have developed to support this thinking. So the teachers we have working under Department of Education, we have a ring of RSE and SPHE teachers who are now under radar, and this toolkit they've seen allows students to hear the experiences of young people who identify as transgender or genderqueer, and they each celebrate their gender transition. There's handouts with terms and definitions that exist under the gender umbrella, and these are also available. However, there is not one video resource to show the grave regret that many transgender people feel after having transitioned to the opposite sex. The word detransitioning is not even on their list of definitions.
Look at this thing, look at the head like a slapped ass he has.
There's not one resource.
Fair play, folks, fair play.
Or toolkit, just tell
Yeah,
us.
what is the picture on all? Like, get some hotspotting off another phone, is that alright? Fair play. Huh?
Gavin, is it?
Nah, Kevin.
Oh, Kev!
Yeah.
Fair play to you, man.
No bother, fair play to you, fair play to you, all.
Adventures in July, remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I attended in Killarney just a couple of weeks ago, and I met about a half a dozen youth who transitioned through puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries. To say their stories are heartbreaking would be an understatement. Puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones have irreversible damage, including compromising bone health, preventing maturation of the brain, causing infertility, deteriorating genitalia, and they triple the risk of heart disease. These are children. Gender-affirming clinics, all they see are Euro signs when our vulnerable children walk through their door. Up to 90% of Irish people seeking gender services may have been autistic, according to an Irish Independent article published last October 2022. Go and read the CASS report, CASS, and see for yourselves why the Tavistock Gender Clinic was shut down. I had the pleasure of meeting Sue Ryan and her husband Marcus Ryan, who work for the Tavistock. They were the whistleblowers and met them in Killarney. So this begs the question, why is the Department of Education relentlessly pushing gender ideology on children? Why? I will now talk about strand 3. Learning outcome 3.6 says students should be able to, quote, appreciate the breadth of what constitutes human sexuality and how sexual orientation and gender identity are experienced and expressed in different ways. This is another hugely flawed and dangerous learning outcome. It should not be on the curriculum. Learning outcome 3.9 to all my students here. This quote explains the importance of safer sexual activity with reference to methods of contraception and protection against STIs. The glossary definition in the curriculum document states, and I quote, sexuality and sexual intimacy is a range of activities from kissing, touching, fondling to sexual intercourse in all of its forms, which involve giving
She's
and
just a
receiving
supporter who was
sexual
walking
pleasure.
by and wanted to see
These
what was going on.
activities can be
She's
solitary
at the same
or
as she goes,
involve
my
other
children won't be
people.
fucking getting taught this.
This is promoting for our children sexual license and in the pursuit of sexual pleasure for its own sake without any focus on the relationship aspects of relationship education, RSE. So the preoccupation with sex is the wrong emphasis to be giving our school children. The curriculum should reduce the excessive focus on sexual activity. Instead, it should emphasize and focus on the importance and quality of relationships in the RSE program, not explicit sex. Next, let's talk about pornography. This is on the child curriculum. Learning outcome 3.10. The curriculum will also, and I quote, discuss the influence of popular culture and the online world in particular. The influence of pornography on young people's understanding, expectations, and social norms in relation to expression. However, it is not a precautionary approach that's being taken. How do we know this? The NUIG Active Consent Team were co-opted by the NCCA and the Department of Education to devise and deliver consent education as part of our children's RSE curriculum. The Active Consent Team includes Dr. Kate Dawson of NUIG, who has said, and I quote Dr. Kate Dawson, watching porn can be useful as it has very detailed imagery. This was said on an interview on the Ray Darcy Show on the 14th of February 2019, Valentine's Day. This is completely inappropriate for our school children. The promotion of pornography must be removed from the Junior Cert SPHE curriculum. Pornography is a huge issue with our young people. However, the ethical porn, as it is sometimes described, is not the approach to take. Porn is not ethical for children. The third concern we have, in addition to the gender ideology strands and the pornography strands that I just referenced, the third concern is the excessive emphasis on sexual activity. The RSE program developed by the NCCA is highly sexualized, and excessive emphasis is put on sexual activity. And the fourth concern is that the school ethos is not being respected in the delivery of the new curriculum. So you're all wondering, can we opt our children out? The NCCA proposes to make this highly sexualized, indoctrinating RSE education compulsory in all schools. It's combining RSE with HPSE. They're marrying the two together, which makes it very difficult to opt out if it's a compulsory subject. Parents, however, can legally opt out of their children out of this ideology and pornography in accordance with Section 30 of the Education Act 1998. My letter is already sent in for my two children. I recommend that all of you send the letter that Lawyers for Justice Ireland created. It's on irisheducationalliance.com under the Curriculum Campaign tab. This letter specifies what topics your children can be removed from rather than the whole program in itself. However,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
my question as a mother is why should parents against this ideology be the ones to have children excluded when the vast majority do not want their children to be taught this? I have a great idea. Why don't we do this as an opt-in program where if parents want their children to learn that a boy can become a girl can become a boy, they can take irreversible puberty blockers and watch pornography. Why don't those parents send their kids to an after-school class on this?
Yes, exactly.
You know why they wouldn't? Because that would require those parents who are sucked into the vacuum of kindness and inclusivity, that would require them to read these strands that I just read to you, require them to think and look at their own moral selves in the mirror. I bet they wouldn't be signing them up for this after-school program, would they?
I hope.
An article by Senan Maloney in The Independent on the 13th of July 2022 quotes a source as saying that, quote, every school, irrespective of ethos, will have to deliver it. His statement is in line with statements made by senior figures in government over the last year. This means that schools with a Christian ethos may be forced to deliver this highly sexualized RSE program, which goes against the Christian teaching on what sexuality, marriage, and the family is all about. And lastly, the consultation report on the junior cycle SPHE RSE stated, and I quote, students and teachers alike expressed a strong view that nothing should be taken out of the draft specification. Really? This statement is both misleading and accurate. There's 300 teachers in our Irish Education Alliance who do not agree with this statement. The Catholic Secondary Schools Parent Association that represents over 341 schools in Ireland do not agree with this statement. So just to also mention a really important point regarding censorship, the CSSPA on numerous attempts asked for representation on the NCCA development body, but their application was rejected each time. They didn't want the input from the leaders of the Catholic schools. So this ideological minority is coercing wider society into going along to get along, because the penalty for voicing an opposing or dissenting view is being socially ostracized and labeled. I know that too well myself. It speaks to a larger pattern that is emerging, namely the abandonment of our democratic process. Increasingly, we are seeing policies being adopted by government which lack any form of public consultation or community outreach, aka democratic participation. And if they do pass the hate speech laws, speaking out like I am today can be deemed as criminal. But this should never stop us from speaking up and taking action to protect our children.
Never. Well said. Well said.
There are numerous questions. As I was thinking of unanswered questions in my head last night, there's numerous questions I still have on this issue. I've been on the radio a lot. Most recently, you can have the pleasure of listening to Michael Reed, who did say a boy can become a girl and a girl can become a boy. That's what media is telling the public.
It's a fact of life, he said.
He said it's a fact of life. Yes, that's correct.
The fact is, it's fucking wrong.
So the first question I have, and I've asked this on every radio show I've been on, and with every trans right activist who comes up screaming, shouting, and spitting on me, is where is the evidence that students, teachers, and parents were demanding this to be brought into schools because of an overwhelming demand in dealing with all these gender-confused children? Perhaps it's the 1.5 million euros that they make from transitioning a child. Follow the money trail. My second question is, are the Irish people really full of hate and transphobia as the government claims to justify bringing this into school? No. I don't think so. I'm American. I've lived here 20 years. I've lived in 3-4 different countries, and I can honestly say it is part of the Irish identity to be kind. We are the land here of 100,000 welcomes. Irish are not a hateful group. It's reprehensible that our kindness and our empathy is being hijacked, and now our children are under attack from this radical political agenda. My third question is, why push this ideology on all children when a very, very small percentage of children will suffer from the psychiatric condition known as gender dysphoria? These children need one-on-one support by experts from their parents. They need to be loved and guided. At the conference I went to in Killarney, one of the members on a panel really summarized it and said, puberty is often the solution to confusion, right? So if a child feels angry and confused with all those raging hormones, who didn't, right? Let them go through natural puberty. That's the solution. What they want to do is give these children puberty blockers to suppress the solution. Irreversible blockers.
Johnny, do you know what that medication is?
I'll get the medication. There's a few different ones out there, yeah. So these teachers are not equipped to deliver this, nor should children be led into this social contagion. In the school of Balbriggan, I found out yesterday there's 3 very young students in a class who want to go through the transition to outside their birth sex. This is just through hearing about it, watching TikTok and speaking to friends. How many kids do you think will fall into the social contagion if this goes into all classrooms? You can be sure it's going to be more than 3 children in a school. My fourth question is, where is the risk assessment in bringing gender identity and pornography into schools? Both the mental and the physical risk assessment. Is there one? No. My Natural Women's Council has a team of about 30 people working on the ground, and we're doing a Freedom of Information request campaign. We're going to be requesting the risk assessments, minutes from the meeting, who signed off on it. We want to see where's the evidence. Where is the evidence? There isn't any. It's the activists, the government-funded NGOs that take, I think, 6 million of your tax money every year who's pushing this, not parents and students and teachers. And my last question is, how can the Department of Education ignore the Children First Act of 2015, particularly, quote, showing sexually explicit material to children, which is often a feature of the grooming process by perpetrators of abuse, close quote. Another part of the Children's First Act states, quote, seriously inappropriate expectations of a child relative to his or her age and stage of development. No, I don't know about anyone here, but my children are 4 and 7 and they still believe in the Easter Bunny and Santa. If my little 5-year-old boy, when he starts junior infants next year, is told he can become a girl, there's a possibility a child can believe it, particularly when it's coming from an authority figure like a teacher, right? The government have clearly turned their backs on the Irish people. Instead of listening to our valid concerns, they are handing over our public funds to NGOs to push this radical political agenda. The government in Ireland is manufacturing a culture war. They're hijacking compassion, empathy and humanity, and they are exploiting the good nature of good Irish people, trying to do this under the guise of kindness and inclusivity. And now they're going after your children. Propaganda often uses emotional appeals and oversimplifications to manipulate people's opinions, which can lead to an erosion of critical thinking and a lack of nuance in public discourse. An example of such propaganda is the very coordinated labeling of parents like me being labeled somehow as far right, simply because I have genuine concerns for issues that will impact my children's future.
What are you saying?
In other words, it is the deliberate removal of nuanced discourse and the use of these sweeping generalizations in order to discredit and disparage any narrative contrary to this propaganda. A sleight of hand such as this also provides a mechanism for those in power to legitimize the disconnect between the political system and the lives and the concerns of the constituents who they have been elected to serve. So what I ask is that all of you listening today stand up without fear, without compromise. Don't worry about these cheap, empty labels. They throw these at us to silence us. But the love I have for my two beautiful children is going to be stronger than any label any one of you can give me or any abuse I will get.
Absolutely.
You have two choices. You can take action or you can be silent. But remember, being silent is being complicit. There are so many out there to support all of you with the knowledge and the tools. Follow Natural Women's Council on Telegram. I'm working on a website. It's on the list. Irish Education Alliance is on a website and Twitter, Parents' Rights Alliance website and Twitter, and Lawyers for Justice Ireland on Telegram, Twitter, and Facebook. Most of us have full-time families, full-time jobs, and we do this just because we care. There's no money, there's no funding other than the buckets of change we go around with. There are many small groups doing mighty work, but we are small. Don't rely on us. We need enormous power of public pushback. So what I want everyone to do is talk to every friend, every parent at the school gate, all of your neighbors, your people in your church if you go to church. Call your school. I did. Meet with the principal. I did. Most principals don't even know this is coming. They've not been involved. And send the opt-out letter to your school to protect your own children. We are also going to get a few thousand flyers to print. You can donate when the Go Get funding page is set up. My Twitter is JKLUNDEN. I'll post the link. We're on a Twitter space call last night on how we can work smarter, not harder. Many of us have been out here Many of us have been out here the last 3 years speaking up for child protection in relation to the mass lockdowns, school closures, mandatory jobs and everything else, and we're tired. So we're going to work smarter, not harder, by doing things like podcasts and Twitter Spaces to get the awareness out. And most importantly, I'm going to wrap up with saying, what can you do for your children? What can you do for your own children?
Anything and everything.
I asked this question at the conference in Killarney because I was feeling very overwhelmed, deflated and emotional hearing such stories. Teach your children to be kind.
Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Yeah, now get up. Get them. Get them. Okay. Don't. Leave it.
Leave him. Fucking pay it, I'll get you. Take a scum.
Leave them alone.
Leave them, leave it. Come back up, we're here on my own. Did you see that? Someone just rocked up and threw a bottle of water. There it is, gone up there, look at it running. You wanna run, you little fairy! Someone, I'm not being funny, that's gone up and gone to the right. Someone go up here and around to the left. Did you have something got to do with that, did you?
No.
You were at me standing there a minute ago, then you went in fucking, you only had to be seen in there, yeah? Did you have something got to do with that? The big dirty smirk on your face, the big dirty smirk on your face. You have something to do with that, did you? Did you? Did you have something got to do with that?
You're the sleeving.
Did you? You're a sleeving. You're a sleeving. You're a sleeving. Where are you going? Are you going up to follow that, are you? Come on, I'll go with you. Come on, I'll go with you. I'll go with you. You're going up that way and you're going to the right to follow that. I'll go with you. I'll go with you. I'm telling you.
Can I say something? Let me show you. Okay? I'm here. Let me show you. Look, this is somebody walking into my live show, and I didn't know. Okay, so this is why I'm like, I'm going after her because that's wrong.
Yeah.
Because this is, I have children.
Yeah, that's
she's my
same.
friend. Yeah, sure. But this is not right because that's what I'm saying over here. Like,
No, that was a tranny. That was.
There's also just, Bridget reminded me there's a document on the WHO website that I've been tweeting, and the WHO standards of sexuality have grids by age of what they want to teach kids.
Oh, sure, I just wanted to drop them.
Age 9, sexual intercourse consent. Sorry, my little girl turns 9 in about a year. I don't really want her to learn sexual consent.
That was a bloke.
Turn it over to Noreen. Thanks very much.
Well said, Janet. Well said. Well said. Well done. Well done.
They're coming back over now to listen when all the dirty bits are stopped.
Go on, get out here. Go away. Get out here. Go on. Go away. You're not doing that. Go away. Get out here. Go on. Go away. Go away. You're not getting none. You're not getting an interview. Get out here now. Go on. Touch on. Go down there and interview her when she's doing that. Yeah, go around and find out. Go around and find out why they doing that. Yeah, go on. Move along. Touch on out here now. Go on. You're not welcome. You're not wanted to fuck off.
You get the whole story. You
Yeah.
don't just get 10% of it like the rest, like your people. You share half truths, not full truths.
Lawyers, who are you? 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 Yeah, here you go. Yeah, fuck off out here. Go on. Who are you? Fake news. RTE. 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 Fake news. Murderers, you're killing people with your lies about vaccine safety and effectiveness. You're lawyers, you're murderers, get off the street, you're not welcome. You're not welcome. RTE scum, RTE lawyers, you're not welcome. These are a bunch of murderers with your lawyers. How many people have these murderers with your lawyers about vaccine safety and effectiveness? How many? How many? Yeah, lawyers. If you want the story, go up there and follow that thing that's drowning everybody. Yeah, you smelly rat bags. And you as well. And you as well, you smelly little rat bag. Yeah. Go on, get over here. Get over here, you mad Jonah ratchet. RTE wanker, fake news prick. Did you not see what happened there a minute ago? Some tranny couldn't come out and drowned everybody and then ran up that way. What are you recording for?
Just part of the...
Yeah. Good.
Don't worry.
Good. Run all them out the street, smell the RTE fake news. Sorry for that bit of art, but I just can't stand any of them. I hate all of them. I hate them all. Lying cunts. I can't stand them.
Hey lads.
Alright?
I'm here today because I want to talk about the mental health of children in this country. Our children are suffering and there's no one to be advice for them. Ever since Roderick O'Gorman came
So man, I run all them out the street.
The Minister for Children, Equality, Disability and Integration, he has destroyed our children. We now have, for instance, let me see, a report come out. CAMS put out a report in January this year. Roderick O'Gorman brought in new curriculum into this school, and he changed all the curriculum in the education. Since he came in, he changed amendments, and he's also changed laws that now the school.
Never a dull moment when my kids are involved. That's what you mean.
If it happens, our children in school, so they know something's going to happen because of these ideologies they're thrown into our children. They're adult ideologies, and they're throwing them on our children. And because of that, now we've seen that CAMS put out a report in January of this year that we have 524 children who are waiting over 2 years to be seen in our mental health services, which is now 1 in 10 children. 1 in 10 of our teenagers and adolescents are committing suicide in this country. They have no advice. We have no one to hear from them. We are not getting any services. Now I'm standing here as someone as a child who suffered from mental health, and I know it led into my adulthood, which then attempted me to have suicide 10 years ago this week actually. So I'm here as a voice for them. Like Roderick O'Gorman is also Minister for the Disability in this country, and he has ignored the disabled children in this country. He put us into lockdown 3 years ago, and when we went into lockdown 3 years ago, all them children lost every service they have. We have mothers and fathers in this country who can't access respite for children with disability. We can't get them into schools. But yet Roger O'Gorman has chose to spend 1.2 million of his budget on this ideology. Now we're the only country in the world, in the EU, we're actually guinea pigs for the EU with this, because it's an EU incentive that's coming into this country. Our government haven't applauded these ideas because they haven't a brain in their head to think of these ideas. They're following EU incentives and the UN agenda, and it's our children that's suffering. Our children are really suffering and struggling. We have children that can't access schools for disabled schools. For instance, we have 524 children with no place, or 234 children we have no place in 2022. For our schools, but yet when they opened our borders we had 5,000 places, suddenly magic for Ukrainian children. It's discrimination against the Irish. It's discrimination against our children. These are not statistics I'm talking about today, folks. This is our children, our sons and daughters, and it's up to us, the mothers and fathers, if we want to have them taught the education in school. I'm just going to read out something here. Who are sexualising little children in primary education worldwide for the purpose of normalising paedophilia? Now this is a quote. Little children are sexual beings who must have sexual partners and begin with sex as soon as possible. For the reason kindergarten and elementary must teach children to develop lust and sexual desire, learn masturbation and build same-sex relationships using oral pornography, and learn different sexual techniques such as oral sex. This is a paraphrased summary of the official guideline from they're destroying our children, and we're sitting back and we're allowing it. We have to stand up and be a voice for our children. We've 1 in 10 of our adolescents and teenagers committing suicide. Why is Roger O'Gorman choosing to spend 1.2 million to push his ideologies on our children? Pornography on our children. It's paedophilia. That's all this is.
That's all it is. That's all it is. Well said, Noreen.
We are not going to allow this. We have God-given rights in this country that no state can take, and they need to know that no state can take this. We will not allow you to come and take this away from us. It's a fact. Never. We're not going to stand there and allow it. Our children are our life, and we are here for them. We are mother and fathers. We say what they get to learn. Not Roger O'Gorman, and he's pushing his ideologies. It's Norma Foley. She's another one coming at them with the. She's another one coming at them with the climate change. They're being targeted in our schools, and they've also what they've done now. They've targeted them, and I don't know if people are aware of this. It takes 12 years for you to believe. For something to become a belief in your system. Now, what Roger O'Gorman has done is these are going into our creches, right? These ideologies are in our creches. They're there, yeah, they're there in our creches, and they're from 12 years up. So if you get into school, you're going to become thinking that. So if you're being told you can be a boy and a girl, you're going to believe that. You're not going to know who you are. I'm someone who struggled with mental health, and I myself work.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Two females trying to report something privately to us.
Report what? Yeah, report. We're all at them in the sun over there, yeah? Yeah, grand. Yeah, well then don't do that job and find the person who done it, yeah? What's he shaking his head for?
We're literally just gathering
Recording. She pushed me 3 times.
She's trying to get details.
She's trying to take the phone off.
He has to use that.
On a public street.
You're not trustworthy. He has to use it. You just pushed him.
Yeah, he's not trustworthy.
You're not trustworthy. You just pushed him.
Not trustworthy.
You put your hand on him.
He's not trustworthy.
You're not trustworthy.
In church now.
I don't know. Do your job properly and go find out who tried to attack all of us standing over there, yeah? No, I'm grand there. You don't get to tell me what to do.
And I don't see the parents do that. And I don't see
Huh?
because they're afraid of being
Me?
racist
No.
or anti.
Don't for what?
It's absolutely pathetic. It's
them.
transphobic. We're here for our children, folks. It's our life, their life. We're fighting for. So our children, not the state. So we have to stand up and say no to this, because what Roger O'Gorman is pushing is absolute paedophilia, and there's no other two ways about it. So we have to stand here and be truthful for our children. That's really it, folks.
Well done, Noreen. Well said. Well said.
Ross. There's Ross. Come on, with
So she come on round or something.
Actually, Bridget, I don't have a whole lot to say. I kind of got off my chest with RTE, but I will add, every time we do anything, they're always there to put a spin on it, because we're gaining a lot of traction here. And what I hear from RTE when they complain about us is, lads, you're getting to us, be quiet, we want you to go away. Which gives us more encouragement to continue. We're not going anywhere. We can't lose on this. We can't lose, because when people hear what's really going on, they're automatically on our side. I don't care what side of the fence, if you're left, if you're right. When you hear about this, that's it. You're gonna be on board. But yeah,
There we go.
About you were saying in your law.
Leave them. We were attacked first. Self-defense.
Oh, yeah, I'll talk
oh,
about
okay. Let Andy speak on that. I'll let Andy speak on that.
Said, this woman's going to go first and speak.
Okay, so lads, when you do get on, they try to first of all spin lies. When you get on radio shows, they try to gaslight you. Doctor Sheehy, is it? Andy, what's the doctor? Oh, sorry, Father Sheehy, is it? So he was on Neil Printable yesterday, and they tried to gaslight him. They were brought up William Shakespeare from how many hundreds years ago? 500 years ago. They were bringing up the Mandan laundries. They were bringing up the Catholic history. Anything but the topic in hand, and it is time and time again. But I just want to let you know as well, we have another gathering at Norma Foley's office on the 19th at 2 p.m. We just have to keep on doing what we're doing here because it's terrifying them. Every time we speak on this, you notice the mainstream media, they have a newspaper article. They're on News Talk, they're on local radio, they're on national radio. We just have to keep at it, lads, because I'm telling you, we can't lose on this.
We won't lose.
When they bring the hate speech laws in, that's just going to make our message even more concrete.
Yeah.
And you know, they're going to make martyrs of us, and they're not going to just going to dig themselves deeper and deeper. Anyway, who's Dean?
How you doing? I see there's a lot of people across there. Gardaí, when you went into your college and you were taught how to do physical acts, did you go home and not do them, or did you go home and train? Because I'm a choreographer, I'm a dance teacher, and I'm a drama teacher. And when children come into me from age 4 to 19, and I teach them a physical act, like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, diddly diddle do. The kids are not going to go home and sit down and not perform that act. They get curious. They do it with their friends. I'm sure when you were in training college in Templemore and you went out, you said, right lads, let's go out and spar. We'll practice for the general tomorrow. Do you know? That's what teaching a physical act is. And at 4 years of age to 8 years of age, if you have children, would you like your 4-year-old to go in and learn how to do masturbation and come home and say, Dad, look what I learned today? The teacher told me about this thing if I rub it. It gives me this great pleasure. Would you show me how you do it?
You have to laugh, don't you? If you don't
When a
laugh,
12-year-old goes into school and you're teaching them how to fist them up the anus.
Hang your head and stand.
And then the 12-year-old goes out and starts hanging around with
Shame on you.
Because this is what's being taught in school. You took an oath to protect our children.
Shame on you. Look.
Now, as a dance teacher, when I teach a physical act, the children go home, they play, they are curious. They will experiment with the act that I have told them, the dance steps. They'll do it with their friends. They'll show it to their friends who are not in the class. So when you're teaching a 12-year-old how to fist, clean up bed sheets after anal. Hey, do you know what a blowjob is?
What's that?
If you teach a child a physical act, a child
Sound and
will
picture and all
act
right on
that
this,
act.
and on this as well. Sound and picture and all
So, I have a little poem for you written for a friend of mine, because I'm aware there are a lot of people out there that are working and can't be here, but they do truly feel the same way we do. We all have to act. I threw away the speech in me passion. Here it is.
Only me, folks, and many others. Many other greats.
Because I'm not sure you are.
There's Andy,
This
G, Dimple,
shit show that's
Ferg,
on the way
Nadia, there's Ross.
is the worst
There's
one
everybody
by
else.
far.
And there's the piggery.
They are coming for your children. Has the penny not dropped?
Top too far, that's the problem.
Throwing them in the lion's jaws with these insane, outrageous laws. Grooming is grooming, no matter how it is dressed up. Teaching your child to masturbate at 4.
Shame!
Will you wise the hell up?
Come on out, you need to on our side.
Sexualizing children when they should be living an innocent childhood. Not learning about fisting and douching. They should be loved. They should be understood. Playing in playgrounds and making up games, not making up sexual acts that they can create because their teacher taught them it. Living out of their imaginations, not taking sexual acts and using their imaginations when they're away from their parents. Being free from these adult social chains.
Yeah, maybe you don't care because you have no kids, so fuck
We
off.
need to protect their minds. We need to keep them pure and whole and allow them to naturally shine. Since when did we silence them and not allow them to make noise? They want your boys to be girls and your girls to be boys. And it is not because this is how the children feel. It's how they are teaching them who and what they should be. It's not real. And we are the cowardly ones. We don't stand up. We don't speak up for our children. And that's what's most bizarre. Do we even know who our children are? Mental illness is on the increase. Suicide is on the climb. What are we going to do about it? Please, let's do something this time. We did let the priest fiddle for long enough. Soon we will have no control over anything they learn in a school. And if you speak out, you will be chastised for breaking the state's rules. You will have no idea and you will not be told what these teachers will be made to teach. And if we question the state's narrative, we will be done for hate speech. The time is now to unite and stand. Please, this time, because it's happened in Ireland before, and you all know what you hid behind your shame. You swept it under the rug. You didn't speak about it. Shh, we'll say nothing. The priest will go away. The father will stop fiddling. Because now they're coming again.
Share this around for me,
It's
please,
time
folks. Thanks very
now.
much.
We put the children first. Before they come for each one of them. Before their futures are completely cursed.
She's only a milk because you don't understand the truth. That's all. Maybe if you understood what we're doing, you'd realise.
Thank you, that was brilliant. Well done.
When your man walks fucking naked down.
Well, you know we don't have An Garda Síochána here to support us, but believe me, if we were flying the pride flag, they'd be over here taking pictures with us and supporting us as we walk down the road half naked in front of all the children. We know where you stand. And it doesn't matter about your personal beliefs. It's where your station is standing on the side of the Irish, because it's not with us, it's against us. You have no problem putting all the LGBT flags onto your cars, on your socks, everywhere across your stations, but when it comes to us, we are left and kicked to the curb and sanctioned with new hate speech laws, which will not stop us, because if you take one of us down, 10 more will pop up. And that's what's happening. The unbelievable moral decline.
Listen, I know what. I won't clear off now. We're here protecting the children. We're here protecting the
jobs that they need to do. They're trying to pawn it
You want to
off.
start doing that job properly and going after the real people, who are running amok in this country. It's your government and your TDs. It's your government and your TDs. And you are all complicit, innit?
So they know the game that they're playing. And we are well aware of the game that you are
Don't be
playing.
telling me not to say anything.
You can pretend that you don't notice. You can pretend all you want, but we know the truth. But well done to everybody, especially over the past couple of weeks, with the phone call campaigns that we've been doing. The transgender shows that has been advertised here in the National Stadium
No, she's
for
giving her details
14-year-olds
over there. She is
has
so,
now been put up
I didn't
to
want to
an
get her on
adult
camera.
show. And that's down to the relentless work of all of you people that are pushing this back.
Yeah, well done, everyone.
They have to take notice of us, as Ross and stuff was saying, with the fake news media, with all the labels. They have to give us these labels because that's all they have. And they're out in the light in attacking their children. They're not saying we are not attacking your children. They are trying to label your children young adults so that they can get their dirty hands on them. An adult, the youngest age of an adult is 18. Anybody below the age of 18 is, in fact, by law, a minor. And these are trying to take away this minor to replace it with young adults so that they can promote books like This Is Gay and What's the Tea to your children, which has the sex acts in it. And I'm going to read out some of the page in a few minutes.
Share. Keep sharing it.
For 4-year-olds,
These books, they're going from 3 years old up, teaching your kid all unnatural laws.
Yeah, well, you just
teaching
seen one
them
there running
sex
away in a
acts.
dress, didn't you?
And really, the reason why parents are not aware of it is because in the schools they're making your children sign contracts to keep what's happening in the schools away from the parents. This is a fact. I have it in writing from the schools that they'll be making the children sign contracts in the school for sex education. So they have to hide it. This is one of the trademarks of paedophilia, is that they make everything a secret. Don't tell mommy and daddy. And before you know it, your child is confused. Your child's having nightmares because there's a complete confliction to what the children is being taught in the school and what the child is being taught at home. And before you know it, your child is turned against you. And the teachers will keep that all away from the parents, and they will help your child try and change their gender, which they will mutilate their bodies and give them puberty blockers before they've hit puberty, damaging their lives forever, damaging their minds forever, damaging their personal relationships with anybody forever. And God.
They're taking out God.
Completely.
God is
completely.
God.
That's exactly what they're trying to do. You know?
God bringing in their satanic level, and it's just.
Yeah. So we have to bring awareness to every school, to every library, to every bookshop that is promoting these books. And that's including Eason's, the books What's the Tea, and a lot of other books are being promoted from Eason's in the children's section. These books are not for children. I'm going to read out one of them now. This one here.
Right, listen to
this is from
prepare yourself, yeah? Prepare yourself.
Yeah. Technology changes frighteningly quick. The lesbian app Crusher has been and gone already, but it seems that market leader Gender is here to stay. Note, Gender, also a minimum age for 18 years old. So these right, this is in a book for 12-year-olds to get your child to download a gay app that's for 18-year-olds. Do you hear this, Garda? They don't want to know. They don't want to know what's going on with the children. They don't want to know. Just leave them. All they are there is for show and to take us down when they get the word.
I'll take me down.
How to use the sex app. Upload a tiny picture of yourself to the app. They're telling children to upload pictures of minors to the app for adults. Do you hear this, Garda? No, you don't. Don't worry about it. The app works out your location. So when the kid is able to put in the location, and any paedophile that's close to that kid will automatically know how to get their hands on your child. There you go. Guards don't care, don't worry. The app tells you who's nearest homosexuals are. Just went through that. Then you can chat to them because they are near. It is easy to meet up with them. So they're telling children to meet up with adults on this app. These books are in libraries, schools. I mean, this is unbelievable. Look, no reaction. They don't care. Nothing. See Blondie in the middle. Actually, now Windows. That's it. You know.
There they are.
But it's important we, as the parents, are now taking the action.
Absolutely.
Yous are the one to be proud. And I'm so proud of you, really, because this movement is taking on a life of its own across this country. Parents are standing up in every county. Protect childhood!
Protect childhood!
Protect childhood!
Protect childhood.
Protect childhood!
Protect childhood.
Protect childhood!
Protect childhood.
Protect childhood!
They won't protect anyway.
Protect childhood!
Protect childhood.
Erin Gabra, thank you.
Well said, Andy. Well done. Well done.
On your souls.
Hello, can everybody hear? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so this is not about education, this is about ideology. This is not about educating children, this is about corrupting children. This is not about forming a future generation that's proud and will stand tall and walk tall and represent our great nation to the best of their ability. This is about creating a globalist mismatch of people that will not represent a strong and vibrant nation. We have here ideology. We want education. We have here wedges and divisions being put in between parents and children. We want to be all on the same team in this great nation. But external forces are coming to this land. Globalist agendas based on treaties that our government has signed without our knowledge, without our consent, are now coming home to roost. Well-funded lobby groups representing the LGBTQ and transgender ideologies are coming again. And believe you me, they are coming for our children. They are well-funded as parents, as citizens, as community people, as people of this same great nation. We need to put our arms around our children. We need to put our swords around our nation. We need to take our nation together and prevent this harmful ideology coming in. And this is ideology that comes from the top down. This is no grassroots support. This is ideology that has been imposed upon us by a tyrannical government. A government that knows it'll get away with it because it always has got away with it. But the time is coming now to an end for them, because when you come for our children, enough is enough. And we say no. You can purchase whatever you like through endless funding coming from the so-called gay lobby group. But there's one thing you cannot purchase our integrity. As a people with integrity, we stand up and we say no to your corruption, no to your ideology. Let a boy be a boy, let a girl be a girl, let a boy grow into a man and let a girl grow into a girl, and leave it at that.
Yes!
And leave us alone.
Well said. You can clearly tell the amount of people in this life that don't have kids. They're all whackballs. Yeah? On both YouTube and TikTok.
I just want to say something.
All right, lads.
Hello.
What's the crack?
Oh.
Well, I just want to, I'll talk loud. You hear me now?
No. Look, there was.
I'm after been speaking to a 14-year-old boy here, folks, right? 14-year-old child is currently in the Irish schooling system right now. Now, he's a Muslim child. He was born in Ireland. He considers himself Irish, but he's completely against these ideologies.
There's
a girl in the school who's transitioning. She's currently transitioned to be a boy.
and it's against his beliefs to stand there and call her by his name. But because he's against his ideologies, now this child is suffering from mental health. This is why I'm here today. Because he won't follow the ideologies, he's now been expelled from the school and he's been deprived of an Irish education because he's not following the UN agenda. Now this is the fight I'm here for, folks. Here's their 14-year-old. Now he doesn't want to stand and show his face because he's only a child and he doesn't want this, but he is struggling. This child is struggling in our country and we're allowing this. Us mothers and fathers are allowing this because we're not standing and being a voice for this child. Now I'm shaking with temper here now because this is a 14-year-old child who is losing he's deprived of his education because he doesn't want to follow his ideologies. Why does his voice not matter? Why doesn't he matter? Do you know what I mean? Why is it okay for this girl to be a transgender and everyone in that school has to follow him? This is a 14-year-old child who doesn't agree with this ideologies. He has to go to school every day. He is now suicidal and is struggling with his mental health because of all of this ideologies. Now he's been expelled from school for this. Why are we accepting this? Why are we as mothers and fathers standing here and saying, yeah, it's okay for these children, but it's not okay for ours? It's not right, folks, and it's time for us to take a stand now, because I'm actually shaking. This child was just walking by and he heard it, and he stood here and he said, I'm struggling in my school. This is our children. We've 1 in 10 of our children committing suicide in this country. Why do you all walk away and ignore us? Listen to me. Our children are committing suicide, and it is on our heads, folks. It's on our heads because we are turning a blind eye.
Caroline,
We're turning a blind eye because we're afraid of being called fascist, racist or transphobic. I am none of them things. I am a mother who cares for my children. I care for all children in this country, even the ones who are transgendering. I feel sorry for them because they're lost children. They're lost. They don't know who they are. We are created beings, folks, and we're losing our sense of identity. And I'm actually frustrated now that poor child has to go to school every day and be ignored. Be ignored because he's not following ideologies. It's an ideology that Roger O'Gorman is pushing on our children, and I won't stand for it anymore. And I'm shaking. I'm genuinely shaking now with this child. This is the prime example of what we have here, folks. We're not doing this on a whim. We're doing this for our children.
She's clearly not knowing the child is just there to the right of us. That's why I won't put her on video.
I'm talking about statistics, but these are our sons and daughters, our children. And I'm very angry now, folks. I swear to God, I'm frustrated because that child. It is right to anger because that child is struggling. That child is down there struggling. He has to go to school every day, and he's being ignored because he doesn't follow an ideology. Why is it okay for him and not her? I'm just really frustrated at this, and this is why we're here, folks. This and that child there is why we're standing here. And for people to say that we're all this against any other people, it's absolute nonsense because this child is a Muslim. He was born in Ireland, and as he said, I consider Ireland to be more my home than my parents would. So this is a prime example. Do you know what I mean? We are not hating on anybody. We're hating on this fucking ideology, and that's all we hate. So, folks, this is why we're here. We're standing up for these children and we're being their voice. We're not here to hate on anybody else except the damn government and their satanic ways. That's all we're against.
That's it, Noreen. Fair play. Fair play. Fair play.
All right, I think we've said everything we need to say. I just want to say a really big thank you. I don't know where she is, but Bridget's over there. I was really delighted that someone took initiative to organise this. I've organised dozens of these, and what I really would love to see is everyone organising them. I'll come and speak, but everyone around the country organising these. Well done, Bridget and team.
I want to say something. I want to address the guards over here, up here, and over here. And I want to ask you a question. Where were you last week when a foreigner walked buck naked down Henry Street in front of babies and children? And the previous week, a guy strips off in O'Connell Street, buck naked, doing push-ups in front of children. Where were you?
Probably sitting in the station having a laugh about it. That's probably where you are.
You're here for us, who are peaceful people trying to do good. Shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame. That's it. Any of us, we wouldn't have got past the square, we wouldn't be mad. We got nowhere. We would have got as far as hands and we would have been smashed off the hands. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a mad one, alright. It's a mad one. Well, look, folks, that's a wrap. from the Department of Education. And the love is and leave us.
We all leg it together.
Have you got a script there?
Folks, I'm gonna love is and leave us. Thanks for joining me on my first day live on TikTok. So, well on. I'll see you again soon. I'll see you again, folks. See you again. All right. Not too bad. Not too bad.